Hi, I'm Nathan Williamson, Navy veteran. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Transition Talk. As we go around and talk to service members, veterans, and their families about the benefits and services available to them, I often hear, I just didn't know that. So as part of informing everybody about all the wonderful things available out there to our service members, veterans, and their families, we partner with a lot of organizations, and one of those is the United States Department of Agriculture. So it is my pleasure today to have Mr. Bill Ashton from USDA. Bill, welcome.
Hey, Nathan, thanks so much for inviting me. A lot of people, when they look at the Department of Agriculture, just look at farm. And so in the Department of Agriculture, which when it started was known as the People's Department. Abraham Lincoln was the one who started the Department of Agriculture and called it the People's Department. And so under the umbrella of USDA, we actually have 14 separate agencies throughout. I belong to the Office of Partnership and Public Engagement, where we do outreach. And my role is the Military Veteran Agricultural Liaison. My position was put into place by Congress in the 2014 bill, recognizing that 19% of our veterans come from rural America. And there's 18.2 million veterans in the United States today. So they had seen a reason to put this in place. Now, one other thing on that is I am the first full-time government employee in this position. So no matter what happens with any kind of administration or anything like that, I stay in my position. We have a number of programs, and as you mentioned, Nathan, which is my tagline to everything, veterans don't know what veterans don't know, and it's not their fault. And it's just not in the Department of Agriculture. I speak to veterans all the time, and even with VA or Department of Labor or any of the other federal agencies really have so much. And as you know, when you transitioned and I transitioned, we are fed with a fire hose. There is just so much out there that, to digest it is really tough. So I'm excited in my role. I educate people. I will admit I am not a subject matter expert on everything in USDA. As a matter of fact, I personally think that there's not one person in USDA that knows every single program that we have.
So Bill, you're a Navy veteran yourself. What was your personal journey to go from submarines to the United States Department of Agriculture?
Well, I'll tell you, Nathan, as I mentioned earlier, my passion is to take care of veterans. That's all I want to do. And I spent 23 years in the Navy, 10 years enlisted, and 13 as an officer. I'm a limited duty officer. My background is administration and personnel. So I always dealt in the customer service area.
So Bill, you were mentioning in your intro, USDA has so many programs out there and available, and folks just don't know what they don't know. What programs come to mind at the USDA that you think our service members and veterans might be interested in?
So one that always stands out, Nathan, is this. USDA is a bank. We actually give home loans and guaranteed loans. So, and I use the example, of course, we're both Navy. You're stationed in Norfolk and you buy a house and you're very happy with it. And, 2 to 3 years later, you have to leave. And your wife says to you, hey, we could probably make over $200 a month on our mortgage if we rent it. And you say, aye, go. So you rent it and everything's happy, and you have orders to recruiting duty in Idaho. So you move out to Idaho, and that may be where you're from, and that's where you're going to settle. And you go to buy a house out there, and then you realize that your VA home loan guarantee is tied up with that other house. And you say, oh, this is going to be a problem. Well, guess what? It's not going to be a problem for you. We have 2,100 offices. We're pretty much in every county. And you can go into our local office under the rural development and talk to them about getting a loan or a guaranteed loan. And it's sort of like the VA's home loan guarantee. If you don't qualify for a commercial loan, then we'll lend you the money. If you do qualify for a commercial loan, we'll do exactly what the VA home loan does. We'll guarantee that loan. And just to give you an idea of what it is, there's obviously some qualifications for that. You can't exceed 115% of the household income for that area. You have to agree, just like the VA says, you have to personally occupy that home when you buy it. And then you have to be a U.S. citizen or a U.S. non-citizen or a qualified alien.
So, Bill, in addition to all of the offices across the country, are there any resources online that folks can go to if they want any more information?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. One is you can go to USDA.gov, and in the search area, just type in single family housing, and the program will come up there. Also, on a program called farmers.gov, you can locate the local office to where you at. You put in your state and your county, and it'll tell you exactly the phone number and address of that local office.
So, Bill, if veterans or military spouses want to create their own journey to the USDA, just like you did, what skill sets are the USDA hiring for right now?
I mentioned to you that USDA is a pretty big organization. We have 2,100 offices throughout the United States. Last year, we hired 1,900 veterans. We look to hire veterans. And some people say, well, I have no farming experience. Well, I mentioned early on that we're a bank. If you have some background in finance, we'd like to talk to you. And there's a number of MOSs, or NECs as we know them as, Nate, that transfer right over to us. For example, the Army has an MOS for food inspectors. Well, one of the largest food inspectors in the United States just happens to be the Department of Agriculture. And we love to recruit them and hire them direct. We also have 3 apprenticeships that have been approved by the Department of Labor: wildland firefighters, commodities inspectors, and just recently a food inspector. So they can look at that. We're involved in the DoD Skill Bridge program, bringing people on. One of the things that really get people thinking is when I say, and we love military police. And the people are like, you guys got problems? No, we do crop insurance. And like any other insurance company, when you get into an accident, what happens? USAA or Geico or whomever, they send somebody out to look at it and write a report. Well, our military police and our master at arms are trained to write reports. We love them. So we have them, and then of course, things like IT, we have that, procurement, logistics type people. So I tell people, look, don't let the idea of Department of Agriculture turn you off. You may have a skill set that we need, and if you don't have it, maybe we can train you for it.
So there are a lot of USDA programs out there. And, one that comes to mind to me right now is one that I actually used 10 years ago when I transitioned out of the military during the height of the Great Recession, similar to how people are transitioning out and during COVID-19 now, and that is SNAP. Bill, could you go into a little detail about what the SNAP program is?
Sure. SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And what it does is, at any given time, some of us have the need for help. We should never be ashamed of that. SNAP is not a program that you stay on for the rest of your life. SNAP is there to help you during those times when things are just not going the right way. And as you well know, when people are leaving the service, that umbilical cord is cut. And then it's oh my Lord, somebody leaving the military, married, has 1 or 2 children, and then they get out and they realize that, I'm not getting all that income and everything like that. So SNAP is not something to ever be ashamed of. It's here to help you. It's like a lot of other federal agencies. There are programs out there to help you to get through those tough times.
So, Bill, if SNAP is a program that our viewers feel will help them and their families, how do they start?
Well, you can go to our SNAP website, again, USDA.gov, and type in SNAP up in the top, and it'll actually give you a 1-800 number to call if you have questions. It also has the online application. You can do it right there. Now, there are a number of forms that you'll need to get to the SNAP office, but we're required by law to process that within 30 days. And if you are really in need, we're required to put money on that EBT card within 7 days. So again, if the need is there, there shouldn't be any kind of stigma. You should not be embarrassed. We all need help at some time. Some people in the highest levels of the government will admit that at some point in time, they have used this program.
And what other ways is USDA getting food to American families right now?
Well, this COVID-19 has really threw a hiccup in a lot of things. Farmers you may hear farmers are dumping milk, turning vegetables and everything over. So the president authorized USDA billions of dollars, $3 billion in particular, to help farmers. And what it's called is farmer to family food boxes. And how that works is we're paying farmers for that excess produce that they have, and they get it to a distributor. And we pay the distributor to box these into family boxes with vegetables, meats, etc. And then the distributors put them out to food banks throughout the United States. We put out 5 million food boxes to families just recently. And what I really have to tell you, it's amazing to me that money was turned over. And in a 2-week period of time, this is not a program we've been operating under, but the great people at USDA have turned this thing around in 2 weeks. It's unbelievable in my opinion. But that's what we're doing to help it with COVID-19 for people who need that. And we're helping the farmers. We're getting them their food moved to a distribution center, and then in turn getting it out to our food banks.
Okay, Bill, so since I am talking to the USDA here, if our transitioning service members and veterans are interested in getting into farming, what steps do they need to take?
Becoming a farmer sometimes is embedded in our military people because of their skill sets, but some of them are part of a generation. And like I said, 19% of our veterans come from rural America and they want to go back. And so people ask the question, how do I get capital? You keep on saying we need money. Land is very expensive today. So what I recommend to everyone is they go to the local office. I know I keep hitting on that local office, but that is where the rubber meets the road. You can hear me talk all you want, but they're the people who are going to execute it. So people who are interested in first-time farmers, we have programs for new and beginning farmers. And then we have some programs that our NIFA group has grants to a number of training programs throughout the United States. And they're listed on their website. And when you go into USDA, you type in NIFA, NIFA on the top, and it'll bring you to them. There's two that I like to bring up that people should look at. One is down in Texas A&M Extension. There is a program there called Battleground to Breaking Ground. It's a 1-year program for veterans who go there for a 5-day indoctrination, and then the rest of the course of instruction is online. And then when you're through that, they put you in touch with a local farmer where you are. And at the end of that, that fulfills a requirement that USDA has for a Farm Service Agency loan. There's also another one called S.A.V.E, S-A-V-E, Service Members, Agriculture, Veterans, Education. And it's right by Fort Riley in Kansas. Another program for beginning farmers and veterans who want to get involved. They go to things like cattle, crop, beekeeping. Let me tell you, beekeeping is becoming a big thing. And so those are two programs. But there's one other group that I tell people to just make the phone call. It's called the Farmer Veteran Coalition. And the Farmer Veteran Coalition was put together by, believe it or not, a non-veteran who saw the need for veterans because we have the camaraderie because we have the brotherhood, the sisterhood, and you call them, and it's made up of strictly veteran farmers. And what they want to do is make sure you, as a new and beginning farmer, don't make the same mistakes that they may have made in coming into the industry.
So, Bill, one of our great partnerships is with the VRE Program. Could you describe a little bit on how you are partnering with VRE to help veterans with a service-connected disability get into the farming industry?
Sure. The VRE program is just fabulous. Okay. They're helping veterans. Again, sometimes we need some help and they do a great job in helping. Well, we partner with them. I told you we hired 1,900 veterans last year. We hire people through VRE. But also when they go through their counseling, agriculture is one of the top jobs that are needed. No farmer, no food. So people who want to get into farming and go through their counselors and everything like that, there's avenues like those education programs I mentioned to you that they can get involved in and get into farming.
So, Bill, before we wrap up, do you have any parting thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers?
If I was to leave anything with our veterans and our service members, is to prepare yourself. Look around. Don't think your MOS is not compatible to any of the outside things that we have going on. I mentioned about employment. USDA wants to hire veterans. I talked about entrepreneurship, and in the entrepreneurship area, it's just not farmers are entrepreneurs, yes, but we're responsible for rural America, prosperity. And if you want to be a small business owner and you want to go back home to rural America and buy a house, because we have programs for that, and you want to start your own business, USDA and we partner with S.A.V.E to start your own business. You want to start an exercise program, or you want to start a bakery, or you want to one of those shops that does mail order stuff. We're there to help you. So we just ask that you go to our website and just do your research, and just to let you know that USDA is there for you.
So, Bill, it's been great having you on today. Thank you so much for joining us. And from one Navy veteran to another, thank you for your service. And to all of our viewers out there, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your service.